Already?
Greetings, everyone. Let's see who's coming into the chat. Welcome. Wagapo. I'm gonna give it a few minutes, but we can just roll. I'd like to let you guys know that I have members of the Accawmacke Council on today, and we may have some others join us as the show goes on. I'm really looking forward to this one because you're going to talk about a lot of different things, not just title lynching. But when I discovered that there was such a thing as it, I mean, I know I'm experiencing it, and I know the Accawmacke have experienced and are experiencing it on a constant basis for hundreds of years. But to know that there's a term for it, it kind of makes me sad. It really kind of makes me a little sad that it actually is a title. There's a name for it. Historians have a name for it, and it's called title lynching.
Wow.
How you doing today, Imani?
I'm doing well, Chief. Excuse me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. Happy to have y'all with me. So it's gonna be a good one, I know. Now, just to let you guys know that a lot of the Accawmacke do a lot of research, and a lot of us, and that's really a wonderful thing because people like Imani and Naomi, they are always providing me with like insight and information. So if you all that are on the Eastern Shore think it all ends with me and it's over, no. Trust and believe. There are a lot of minds out here, far more adept than mine, that are able to do what I'm doing. So you get rid of me, it doesn't end. Okay? Let me say it again. For the Eastern Shore of Virginia, Severin Baldwin. Okay? Tracy, you know who you are. Jack. Yeah, you. Mr. Lewis, it doesn't end with me. There are a lot of far more talented, greater.
What's on your face?
Oh, sorry. That are Accawmacke. Sorry. That are Accawmacke than me.
Is it like Noxema or something?
Yeah. I get it. Yeah, so there's a lot more.
Or this, go home. How about that? Go back to Europe, use your corporate power to reinvest in your motherland. How about that? How about stop bothering people on their land? Stop. Y'all been doing the same script for 400 years and using legislation and several redlining mechanisms, war on DRUGS. Like there's so many things y'all been doing for centuries and it hasn't worked. Prison the pipeline, let's poison the water, let's flood a bunch of places. Like you've been doing this for a long time and you've been failing.
Didn't work.
You've been failing. So how about just go home? You got enough money to go home.
Taxes.
Just go home. We don't need to be going back and forth with you, to be honest. We don't. Just go home. You've been trying this long and it's been failing. It's been failing this whole time. The only thing that did pretty good was the PSYOP shit, the COINTELPRO stuff. But people are waking up from that. So all this extra stuff of using the de facto government, using corporation and corporate power. Outside of corporate power, you don't have any. Use your corporate power to reinvigorate European countries that really aren't yours, but we're going to say that they're yours so you can go home. Go home. You got enough money. Go home. You don't like seeing people that don't look like you do well in their country. Go home. If you're making plans to take down power grids because you want an ethno state, go home. Keep it a buck. This entire planet is not pale. Nobody naturally is a flower power monster. It is fake. It is a fallacy. The entire earth and its first people have always been melanated. So your corporate power, your wife's cheating on you, it's been like this.
Damn.
Go over here, making plans to destroy people. You've been making plans since he got here in the 1800s, and still been failing. At what point do you say, you know what? Maybe I should go back home to Europe and fight them because they're the ones that screwed me over? How about that? All this extra work, all the resources, no one really respects you. There is no repatriation act for European Americans to come home because they don't want you. You're a liability and you're garbage. But you want to come here and do what they were gonna do to y'all in the courthouse. They're gonna string you up and leave it at that. But you want to string us up for our land? Come on now.
See, you want to give me 51 indictments. Boo, you don't even know I'm mild, okay? You want to criminalize a nurse who is not just a nurse, but a very, like I give it all to my patients. You want to turn me into a 51 indictment carrying criminal for reclaiming being the fiduciary trustee of a nation, doing my job as a leader. And you don't understand that it don't end with me. It's only gonna get harder for you. And guess what? Your children are not equipped. They're not equipped. I've seen they're not equipped. They can't handle it. So,
which is why they are attacking DEI and everything else right now. DEI is a whole other thing. Some people don't like it. Some people like it, but they just want to make us as weak as possible because they know our potential. We are the ones that don't know our own potential. So if we all banded together and came together, I feel like we can beat a lot of this shit that they're doing.
But you know what's crazy? A lot of their policies are hurting the people that voted for them.
Yep.
All the people in the backwoods.
Right.
They're get Medicaid. They're gonna have to work to get disability when they're disabled. Like
the hospitals are closing. They're going to close in the country.
Like they're willing to gut their own people to hurt us.
Yeah.
They've always been willing to hurt their own people. They, that's what these good white people, good Caucasians don't realize. They don't love you. Your own folks never have loved you. That's why you're here, because they took your land. They wouldn't let you live. They put your children, make your children orphans, and put them out to work. These are not good people. These are those people. They are their ancestors. And most of them are groveling, people that just like want to get a second chance out of being a criminal, but all they know is crime, and they're over here and they've been doing crime here for centuries. So, I mean, we are really not clear on what is historically and what is presently going on in this country. And it ain't no fairy tale, and it ain't no Disney story. And Disney ain't nice either. So we need to understand the actual truth. Yes, lynching, title lynching, all kinds of things are going on right in our faces. And this is part one of us starting to look at the things that are obvious that we're not really dealing with. And these people think that, we can just bully our way into keeping our way. You can't bully your way into keeping your way anymore. That doesn't work. You don't get to bully. You don't have authority to be here. We don't have to fight you. It's done. You don't have any authority. No jurisdiction and no power. It's all an illusion. Now, you may have authority over your people that you let come over here and all these immigrants, but you don't have authority of the landholders. You don't have authority over us. We predate you. This is our land. So you get to say nothing. You get to be silent and leave us alone. That's what you get to do. Right? This you must learn, because this is over. The thing about it is, even this universe is against you. Everything is against you, because as much as you try your same evil tactics, they are not working. All you're doing is exposing your lies and exposing how criminal you all are. Y'all go. You want to answer something?
I don't
And
know.
you know
Go
what,
ahead.
Chief? I'm gonna be honest. Even though we are on a certain group of people right now, I
Right.
do have to take a moment and mention our own people.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
own people are allowing this genocide to happen because all they want to do is sit back and let someone else be their savior. We are our own savior, each individual person for the collective. And aside from that, it's sad also for, I feel bad for the recognized tribes because they are so afraid to speak up against injustices to where they allow it. And they become part of the problem. Oftentimes, of what I'm seeing, they become part of the problem because they want to keep pushing the white colonizers' way. And I feel like that's why they attack us because we don't allow it.
Well, I mean, they have gone under contract. They have made themselves wards of this
Yeah, that's
corrupt
true.
corporation, right? And so that's what they would love. They would love if I was begging to be accepted or begging for their please, master, please make these charges go. If I was begging them, because that is how they have power, and they also get the rocks off on it. So they get the rocks off on making us feel like we are beholding to them, below them, dependent on them. Please, Melza, please. That's what those nations do. They beg for every grant. They beg for everything they need. They do not see what real nations should be like, marching up to the BIA and saying, "Give me the keys, get out. Where's the bank? Where's the money? Where's the land? Give it up." Because there needs to be no BIA. How dare you have that? How dare you exist? We are independent nations. You do not tell us who gets what. What?
Yeah,
Their thinking is all wrong. They
yeah,
think like dependent, dumb children, wards. They don't think like leading nations, you see. And you can't be what you don't act like.
yeah.
Right? You can't be the boss if you're not going to act like the boss.
Right.
And it's a lot. If there are levels to it, I'm not going to say like they should, but they've been doing this for a while. Most of them been organized. Some of them been organized stayed organized pre turn of the pre 1900. Some of them were organized in the 1940s, 1950s, 1970s, some in the 80s, but in Virginia. But the reality is, y'all have had some time to figure this out. And at any rate, you should know you cannot go dancing with the devil and think you're going to win. They don't love you. Their objective is not to help us. Their objective is to really destroy us. So, I mean, you can't have it both ways. You have to have the upper hand with this. If you don't, you're lost. So you have to establish this as a rule. Like, you don't rule us. You have to. And if you don't, then we're lost. And that's why I refuse to have any trial with these people. I refuse to give them consent, because giving them consent gives them consent. If I, as the trustee, because I'm not even acting as an individual, if I as a trustee for the Accawmacke give in, then the entire nation gives in. And I can't afford that to happen. I can't afford to leave you with that mess. But the fact of the matter is, people think it's easier just to get along and work with what you got.
Nope. Nope. And it's so sad too because they know what happened to a lot of indigenous people in Virginia, the Carolinas, Maryland, etc. The paper genocide. So they expect people to have a consistent lineage and heritage from 300 to 400 years in record, knowing that a lot of us were classified as Black. In addition to the courthouses being burned down, during the Civil War, they purposefully burned a lot of that stuff down to where we didn't know who we were. So we're all confused. And it's just, you expect us to show that stuff though.
That's what the some of the tribes are, some of the nations are doing to requiring, really. So
Yeah.
but the thing is, all they gotta do is walk around the corner. The real
Right.
whatever they are right around the corner from their so-called business office or reservation or
Right.
whatever it is they have organized. They're right around the corner. That's what the real cousins are, right there. They always been there. So so the fact that they don't acknowledge that is a sad thing. And then the fact is, if you ride on some of these places, Mattapony or whatever, you'll see a bunch of blonde haired people that don't look like they have any of us in them. Now, not to do lookership, because you really, like I said, we can be faded, with a couple of
two generations.
Right, exactly. So I mean that is a thing, and I'm definitely not against us, in whatever form we come in. But the reality is they just have washed themselves out. That's the reality. Okay. And they do it with intention because they feel like they gain favor that way. They feel like their whiteness is a security blanket.
And it's just, and some people probably won't like what I'm about to say, but I'm just going to say it anyway because I know about it. I'm not going to put the source out, but someone from the Mattapony tribe recently came out through their, essentially it's their website that keeps the public informed about issues that's happening on their lands. They came out recently in a post, and also they did like a quick little vlog online talking about how some of the main families, or one of the main families of their tribe, is actually not real Native people. And so we always hear about the $5 Indians during the Trail of Tears, but we rarely hear about it on the East Coast here, even though it did happen. And these are the members of the tribe saying this. So with all this evidence that's out there, why do we still, well, we know why. It's pretty it's pretty simple. But it's just, of course, they're going to try to use word semantics to make you think you're crazy. But the federal tribes are starting to come out and talk about it. And when they come out and talk about it, people then want to listen. So, what we're saying can be proven.
Well, I mean, I don't think they have a choice because, as we exert our nationhood and the way that nationhood should be expressed, because they're not exerting nationhood. They're exerting, like I said, dependency, right? So their dependence in the shadow of someone that's trying to exert true nationhood is going to hurt, because eventually our rights will pay off. We will get what we are owed. That's going to happen. So when in the course of that happening, they're going to feel sort of left behind because they did not want any part of what we were doing. They didn't want to talk up when they should have spoke up. There's years ago, I would say it was close to a decade, I would send emails out to many of the Virginia nations, just trying to get some insight, some guidance, just asking for someone that I could call on, just, if I had a question or whatever. And I was denied by all. So later on, I think one of them contacted me like a year or two ago, and I don't know how they dug back in their email and even found that. But they looked hard and they found the email and they responded to it. And I was like, no, it's a little late. Thanks. No, thanks. No, thanks. What in the world? Like, stop.
It's crazy.
But yeah, but that's the thing, I don't hold that stance. I'm just saying at the time, that's how I was feeling. I don't necessarily feel that way now. I welcome anyone who wants to, be welcoming to us. But the reality is that you have to treat people. You have to recognize how they're treating you, and you have to treat them likely. Like if you're bullying my people, if you're oppressing my people, if you're taking land from my people on a regular basis, if you're throwing us in jail, throwing drugs into the street and then making us get locked up for it, if you're laughing at my people for getting locked up because they made a phone call and said, oh, this is the guy who has drugs and got paid $5, and you're snickering in court because this woman's going to end up with, I don't know, 10, 15 years in the age of her late 40s, and she hasn't committed a crime, and decades and decades, and all she did was make a phone call and make $5, and you entrapped her to do it. That's what they're doing to my people. Just picking them, just tearing up our families, tearing up lives, and snickering about it.
And then they want to make you into a statistic after they've done it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the other minorities underneath them, even though we're all equal, they're going to be the ones that follow suit, unfortunately.
Right. Right. I mean, you know, it's just like, yeah, well, I mean, we got to understand what it is. We got to understand that these people, you know, they're just clad in different robes. They're just clad in different robes. They're hunting us, and it's lynching, and lynching of different sorts are happening every day. And the unfortunate thing is now we're in a state of mind where if it's not mine, it's not in my mind. If it's not mine, it's not in my mind. So we don't think like we used to have a family spirit where, you know, if something happened, we were on different levels caring about it or wanting to help the situation. But right now, they have actually successfully brainwashed us to the point that we don't even have our same values that we used to have.
No. Sad times.
Yeah. Hey, Toloff, you joined us. Glad you made it.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good, good. What's going on? You got anything to say about what we're hitting on right now?
Nah, I just got on and I'm trying to put a screen, trying to participate. Yeah, I don't really have anything. I probably have to listen a little more.
Yeah.
Know
I
what
mean,
the topic is.
what we're talking about, we just started. Now, why don't he use the code to the door? Excuse me. Go ahead. You just carry on. I gotta go deal with the door. Oh my God. All right. Nay, carry on.
Yeah, I'm on. I got for me, I got cracker fatigue. You know,
Yep.
so I'm over it, and it's not even in a way that bruh, this doorbell is pissing me off. But yeah, but not even a way that's like hateful, spiteful. It's more so just go home.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to do nothing bad to you. But if you are just bringing chaos, and we notice there's a pattern, certain people get in office, one, they're both bad guys. They both are corporate type people, you know, they're called presidents. They're not real deal government. So one said, okay, well, I'm gonna cause this ruckus, I'm gonna do this nonsense. What you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna do this, and that. So they both play their roles when it comes down to it. So what the hell? I'm mad at this. Yeah, they both play their roles when it comes down to this corporation. The thing about it is, when it comes to the Indians, we want to do 20v1s. We want to twerk on tables. But are we all going to the International Court of Justice to get these people up out of here? Getting the UN to drag these people, getting people in parliament to say, let's vote to get these crackers back and whoop their ass when they get here. Like, we're not, there are things we can do that don't involve us touching them. And we see what happens when they touch us. It doesn't really help anything. It doesn't, and it makes us vulnerable as a country. So we say, you know what, let's just have people pick them up and take them home in the most peaceful way possible for them.
Or you could say, sit your ass down and behave. But you don't know how to.
They don't know how to.
No.
They don't know how to, and it's been proven. So at that point, it's like, go home and get beat up by your own people. Let them slap you around. Let them call you whatever they want to call you. Let them call you the white version of Akata, whatever the case may be. Just go home. Like, we all, as nations, as First Nations, first contact, pre-colonial folk, we gotta say, hey, go to these UN situations and get these people up out of here. That's it. I'm really over it. And I don't even there's people that I work with, people that I see around that aren't bad. It's not all of them, but these people that have these roles in our country, they should be banned and disbarred and removed. And their families have to be removed too. So every individual organization, real estate company, all the ones causing this fashion gentrification and the people that are running these companies and letting it go by, they got to go too. You got enough power, you got enough all this type stuff going on. Just go home. Go home. You have money. You have the motion that you need to be whatever you want to be. You don't have to be here. You really don't. A lot of these people that are in these governments, they got stolen land, stolen money, stolen inheritance, everything you could think of. They don't have to be here. They really don't. So I'm trying to find the most efficient way to kick them the fuck out without having to do no dramatic stuff, because they feed off the drama. No drama. Pay them dust. Pay them dust and get them up out of here. That's all.
I think when they lose the land, they really won't have a choice, right? When they lose the land, see they want pull yourself up on your bootstraps, nigga. Okay, really? You didn't pull yourself up by nothing but stealing from us. So you haven't created anything. Everything you got is built on what we have. And that's why you're fighting me so hard. That's why you want to give me 51 indictments, because you can't afford to lose what is stolen. You can't afford it. You can't afford it. And your daddy was an alcoholic. You can't afford it. You can't afford it. You can't afford to lose anything. That's why you're so desperate.
Let's not forget they're greedy. Even if they could afford it, they're greedy as hell.
Their greed. Oh, their greed is, you know why? Because their souls are empty. They have no souls. They're empty.
Have a soul gap.
Always on empty.
Yeah.
They're starving. That's why they are cannibalistic, because they are empty and just bereft. And they cannot get satiated. So the greed is just so crazy, huge. And that's a problem. That's a problem. That's why they can't stop, can't quit. There's never gonna be enough for them. And they also are vengeful. They resent us having anything, even when especially when it's right. I mean, it's so crazy to think of federal judges who just like lie and will sit up there and say, "Oh, it's a statute of limitations," and just make up shit because of greed. Because of greed.
Yeah.
Dismissing stuff because of greed. Dismissing that because of greed. And you think this country needs to be ended. The way this government is, this needs to stop, because this is pure corruption and greed. And you can't build anything on that. You could see it. Look at the cars. Look at everything. They look like trash. There is no growth, beauty, and development. We're not making anything beautiful today at all. At all. Because we're living amongst a bunch of vampires. And we're letting them drain the life out of us. Thinking we're going to just hold on. Just hold on. Just a little bit of blood loss. Why? We're at fault because we sit back and let he ain't gonna drink that much. You still gonna be able to move a little bit after. I mean, when I'm in these courts and I'm dealing with these sisters and brothers, I'm like, they're trying to take my house. They're trying to do this. They're taking away my freedom. They'll be like, well, you just hold on there. You'll still be able. You might still be able to breathe after this. That's it. What? What are you talking about? That, to me, that's their energy. That's what they're saying to me. That it doesn't matter. Just as long as you may just survive it. It's okay, sis. It's gonna hurt, but not for long. Someday Jesus gonna come. That stuff.
Yeah.
Are we that afraid? Or do we feel that? See, these people aren't powerful. These people are just evil. These people aren't powerful, but they bold as I don't know what. They got a lot of nerve. But they have a lot of nerve because don't nobody say nothing to them. All you need is one or two people checking them and they won't have no more nerve. But because we sit there and say, boss, I don't see nothing, boss. No, I don't see nothing. No. I'm not saying a word. You got people burning down people's homes in Hawaii, burning down people's lives being lost for greed. And then the people like, oh, Oprah's great. Oprah is the devil. How are you gonna go and build a mansion on the bones of these people? A lot of them were homeless to begin with. Run off their good land. And now even more so, because now you can really daggone stretch out, and it's just like the oligarchy of Europe. They want to have land so far they can't even see. And don't you dare try to get a fish off of it, a crab, a nut, or a berry, because that is poaching and you'll go to jail. That's what they're creating here. That's what they have created here in our country. We just don't realize it. We don't call it a monarchy, but we got a monarchy. We got a secret monarchy going on of these rich people that are living a whole different level of life and got everybody else paying the cost. So the historical meaning of lynch title. The term lynch title originated to describe cases where land was stolen through legal lynching instead of physical violence. Courts, sheriffs, lawyers, and local officials are colluded, to strip landowners of their title through fraudulent deeds, rigged court actions, false liens, tax schemes, or fake debts. It was often used against Black, aka Indigenous, aka American Indian landowners, freedmen, and indigenous families in the 19th and 20th and 21st centuries. Thanks to non-judicial foreclosure and institutional ignorance, title lynching is at an all-time high today. Lynch title lynching. That's what it is. So when we talk about title lynching historically, let's talk about these fraudulent people on the Eastern Shore of Virginia, where I'm dealing with Air Hall, Severn Air Hall. Yeah, I said it, allegedly. This is the state of New York Court of Common Pleas for the city of the county of New York, trying to become a citizen of the United States. This Richard Baldwin is an immigrant, and he had to try like several times to become an immigrant. They didn't want to make this sucker immigrant. They lie in and say they've been here since the 1700s. They're liars. They frauds. This is them trying to become citizens in the 1800s. They are liars. Yes, the Baldwins of Air Hall are liars. They are frauds. They forge. They are thieves. They do not and should not be on that land ever. That house ain't no colonial house. Here it is in the records. And if you were to, got it big, but if you look at the screen, you could see where you see above the green line is Richard Baldwin, 29, male, but the B is erased. But you see there below with the dot is a child. That's a B. This is a brown farmer with 800 acres. The Baldwin that they are trying to be the Negroes that were there before them. The 1790 acres censuses shows the Negroes owning the land. These people were trying to get in and into the land in 1851. When they got here, they took on our identities. Are y'all seeing this? They did not get here. They were trying to get here in 1851. They were not here. They didn't have the 800 acres. They didn't have no acres. They were broke trying to become citizens in this country. They're frauds, they're liars, they're thieves. Title lynching goes way back and it continues to this very second. Great Britain. Departure Dublin. He's trying to make it destination USA. He going all across the world to try to get all across the place to try to get to the USA. And then when he gets here, he's trying desperately to be a citizen and making it to Virginia to build this house, which they say is a colonial house. Now, y'all, does this look like it's that old? Does it look like it's a colonial house? I mean, just look at it. It's not. If you take this house and put it into some kind of, AI and ask them, well, how old is this house? They say from 1880 to 1900s. It is not no 17 nothing house. It ain't no 17 nothing. They are liars and frauds and thieves. This is their application when they made that house, that land, and applied to make it into a historical preservation site. In the application, they admit that the house, they claim nobody built anything on it for 116 years. Who would not build a house on this beautiful territory for 160 years? Let me tell you, this is beautiful. Now, if you see the water and all this, that's the house over here in the middle. This is the asshole right here, okay? The alleged asshole. You're allegedly an asshole, okay? And a criminal for sure, allegedly. Now, this is all this land that is Air Hall. But guess what this is? This is the main territory of our people. This is our homeland. This is the Powhatan Maine chiefdom village. That's what it really is. It's Comokee. It's Comokee. That's what it is. This ain't Air Hall. It's Comokee. Yeah, we need to come on the shores there and say what it is called out loud. Call it by its true name, Comokee. Comokee. Because that's what it is. It ain't no Air Hall. They get prominence in the world because they lie about the history. In their book and also in several books, they talk about Philip Taylor, who was some kind of immigrant that was ruthless and tried to take a lot of Accawmacke land. They tell this story like they proud of it, But really, y'all, what it really tells you is that they stole the land, because Philip Taylor from another part of the world has no right to chase no indigenous people off the land, especially indigenous people who have patents. And our people were advanced enough to have patented the land, which means that we have title to it forever. It's not just, like you're a Comanche or not a Navajo saying, this is the land where my people have lived. No, we're not just saying that. We actually have the actual title in writing for this land. See, our people 400 years ago were smart enough to actually to secure the bag, as they say. The bag is secured by us, okay? But this whole thing, this is all this. See, what all this does is that's how ignorant they are. They're so confident in their criminality that they blatantly show that this stuff was stolen, and then the judges uphold the theft. But that can no longer be. You can't uphold theft. But see, this is the thing. I stand alone in fighting for this, because the Nottaways ain't fighting for it. The Pamunkeys ain't fighting for it, not in this way, right? So when you fight alone in this way, they can make you look like a weirdo. But this is not weirdo stuff. This is righteous stuff. This is true justice. So I don't care what they say about me. This is what is how it's supposed to be. And everybody else, you're falling short. So the way we went about quit claiming it is that we declared it under our patent. It wasn't just, we just taking this land because it's ours. Woo, some chick named Lisa. No, we claimed it as our people. So this is how it went. Witness document of accepted and declared Accawmacke patent to all those who present shall come greetings. Whereas in accordance with the Supreme Court ruling in 1832, the United States ruled in favor of the Cherokee. Note the Cherokee Nation versus Georgia, 1831, Worcester versus Georgia. The Accawmacke Indians of Powhatan Chiefdom are of Cherokee Confederacy. The Cornell Law School trial of rights of property, burden of proof, code of all trials by right of property, in which Indians may be a party on one side and a white person on the other. Then the burden of proof shall rest upon the white person. That means the white person got to prove that you own that land. If an Indian comes in your face and said, this is mine, the white person got to prove it. Whenever Indian shall make out a presumption of title in himself from the fact of previous possession, you hold the burden of having to prove it. That means I shouldn't have to. First of all, that definitely means I ain't a criminal. But when we say we claim this land based upon our patent, prove we don't. It is hereby stated that all the land, Cape Charles and Bay Creek, is part of Accawmacke patented land, and others as a part of Accawmacke versus Savage court case. Oh, and it goes on. It's very specific, baby. We're not playing with this. It's very specific. Let me also remind you that we are pre-colonial, non-consenting Accawmacke or American Indians, not taxed. You got to know who you are and how you should be classified. That's all my casework. I'm not even going to get into it now. Another day. So here we're going to talk about the savage. So what do I mean when I say it's savage's land? So this is what they first did. This is an older sign that they had, and it was one of them government markers. Here in Savage Neck was the home of an Ensign Thomas Savage, who came to Virginia in 1608, granted a tract of land by Devidera. Let me tell you, Devidera ain't no Indian. That ain't no Indian name. That's Scottish. So that's a bullshit. The Laughing King of the Indians in 1619. Savage became the first permanent English settler on the Eastern Shore. And he was a spy. He was a little Indian spy is what he really was. Truth be told, that's one of the boys that John Smith had taken away and then brought him back to be a spy. And he was a very horrible spy. And he did a lot of damage to us. And then they turned around and used him to claim that we gave him land. But guess what? The proof is just right in the history, because they did another. Why is that sideways for real? I am really disturbed. How did that happen? Anyway, the new one, they actually say at the bottom, perhaps 9,000 acres. You know why they're doing that? They trying to make sure that they cover as many acres as possible that they could claim as theirs. So they made a new sign and put 9,000 acres at the bottom of it. Look at that. See at the bottom? 9,000 acres. Trade with the... Yeah, they added that. That's the updated sign. See, that's how they update and create historical lies. You see, it's right there and by the Historical Society in their friggin' markers. And that teaches the young, that teaches everybody. They use these markers to create a land theft lies. Land theft lies. So this is from the book, The Kingdom of Accawmacke, which is to believed only in, in part, but there's some very good information in it. But then, like, this was made in 1900. So my rule is usually that I don't trust anything that's printed after the Revolution or after the 1800s, because then the fix was in. But there can be some exceptions made with this information, right? And the reason that we can make exception with this information is because by the 1900s, they had us so, like, our identity was so erased by that time that even Plecker really didn't do that much to the Accawmacke. Somebody was asking me about Plecker and the Accawmacke. Well, we had the first so-called prison camp reservation back in 1640 of the entire nation. We have the first patents, right? Some of the earliest patents. So by the time the 1900s came and they had already started dividing us into colored and mulatto and Negro and stuff in the 1600s, according to the writings. And unless they went and did some back writing, because they do, just like they're calling everybody African American today, they might have went back and called everybody Negro on some older books. You got to understand, they rewrite history. They are horrible liars. Okay, so to the early colonists of Virginia, the Indians of the Eastern Shore Peninsula were commonly known as Accawmackes. That one name embraced all of the divisions and subdivisions into families through which the peninsula natives, a tribe, had passed. Unfortunately, Verrazano did not mention either of the two letters he wrote in 1524, describing his visit to the Eastern Shore, the name of which the natives bore. Nor did he make a single note a single word of their language. When Smith first landed at Cape Charles in 1608, he was met by Kittopeak and the brother and prime minister of Devon, the Warrens, the Laughing King of the Accawmackes, whose principal village, Accawmacke, was probably located some distant island from the bay on the shore of the Cherrystone. Where's the shore of the Cherrystone? Air Hall. They changed the name of Cherrystone Creek just so they can make sure that's concealed. Sorry. Now, this is what I mean about historical fraud. So they're proposing in two markers that this land was given. We gave the land to this innocent savage, whatever, right? Well, here's a lawsuit. This is a report of a lawsuit between the Accawmacke and the savage. The Eastern Shore are often disturbed, notwithstanding the care of court, to prevent the same by the esquires of some Stringer, Colonel Custis, Captain Southey Littleton, Major Edmund Bowman, who have reported titles both of said Indians and savage to be doubtful, yet respect the said Indians have always been at peace with us. It is necessary that they be secured in their possession. Do you know how there are many different orders that say the Accawmacke need to be secured in their possession? We have actual laws and decrees and statutes that say the Accawmacke need to be secure in their possession of land. There are protections that are pre-colonial, colonial protections for us as a nation. And yet, this is all in every court case I ever daggone have done. And yet, these nasty, crooked judges defile because of greed. They said that it ended. The foremost gentleman does inquire how much said savages' land at present possess at the bounds of the land the Indians claim, and do cause as much lien thereof to be laid out, said savages' land convenient to said Indians and freely possessed by them, so long as they shall live on it without disturbance or molestation of any possession. They paying to said savage his heirs, executors 1 year the Indian coin for acknowledging, because it appears that said Kendall has often threatened and disturbed and affrighted the said Indians and their securities of him, that he for the future does not wait and trespass upon and disturb said Indians. There's a lot of that. We have 3+ more orders just about Captain Savage stealing our Bayside 650 acres alone. Bay Creek and Cape Charles is ours. It is well documented. We have the title. Stop stealing our land. The second order, they ordered to survey 650 acres of land for the Accawmacke to Harmison and on Indian land to be turned out. They said, you got to be turned out if you're on our land. To be turned out. If they have them in possession, the Harmon is supposed to be turned out. Get off our land. Get turned out off of our land. That's what was written in 1673. They keep committing these crimes over and over and over again. Here is one of our major patents. It says Gingaskins. We have patents for 1,600 acres, 690 acres, and 1,500 acres. Lots of different patents. 8,000 acres, 800 acres. The Accawmackes are said to have 35,000 acres of land. We have more land than the Comokee are supposed to have. But guess what? We were the first ones put off of our into a reservation. The Comokee don't have that history. See, you got to understand, that's why we are the Powhatans. The Powhatans are the people that everything happened to first. All these laws are pertaining to the Accawmacke. That's why the Accawmacke are the Powhatans. Can't be the Comokee because they're like a side note. When John Smith was told, you got to go meet my cousins across the water, because that was where the main village was. That's where headquarters was. Headquarters is Air Hall. Knowing this makes everything make sense, and it makes you fearless. My grandmother is standing there with the former occupant of Air Hall, Furlong Baldwin. Furlong Baldwin in his life was a Princeton grad and used to be president of Mercantile Bank and CEO of NASDAQ. When you Google his name, you will see him on Forbes.com, shaking hands with the Prime Minister of Great Britain. My feeling about him shaking hands with the Prime Minister of Great Britain is not is just as much important that he is actually blocking the ancestral land of the Accawmacke that he became NASDAQ president of NASDAQ or CEO of NASDAQ. That's probably why he became CEO of NASDAQ. It's probably that their actual position as being the guard dogs of our enchanted, powerful homeland. My big mama played the piano there at that house. That is her cousin Georgie, who stayed on the grounds of that house until she passed away in 2017 or something. She played music. She was loving. My grandmother took care of the old people. His parents were taken care of by my big mama. That's my big mama sitting up there looking sassy at the bottom. And that is, unfortunately, the same picture of the woman standing up at the piano. Georgie, right before she died, I actually saw her on her birthday. That was her birthday. I didn't know I was there on her birthday, but I was able to gift her on her birthday. And she did not live many months after that. That is several when he was older, before he got too sick. And me and my cousin, my first cousin, that we went out there to see him. Is that it? So basically, we know who owns the land, and we don't have to fake it. We don't have to make up deeds. We don't have to be somebody else. We don't have to change our identities. We don't have to act like we built the house at a certain year when it wasn't even built. We don't have to falsify the information. The information for us is here, and it's real. And when you falsify information, you got to keep online. That's why they had to make a book about Air Hall, because the lie itself wasn't strong enough. We have historical records that support who we are. We have the land that supports who we are. We have the patents that support who we are. Most importantly, we got the people. We got the surnames. We are who we are. You know, nobody brought us over on a boat. We didn't bring ourselves over on a boat. And if you can bring yourself over on a boat, steal somebody's identity, and take their land from them for this many years, you could take your happy butt on a boat and take yourself back where you came from. Anybody else?
Yeah, like, you had your run. You know, did what you did. It's time to audit our government and kick them out. It's time to say, hey, this is what they've been doing. They've been misappropriating funds. They've been doing some form of domestic T word and G word to a lot of people, us predominantly, in several different facets and forms. They do gentrification using faulty deeds, using the fact that you don't need to adjudicate for foreclosure, so you have it just go into foreclosure and then put a bunch of foreigners in our communities. They've had us in a tax embargo for the longest because they don't want us to develop our own, because we had Tulsa, we had what's the place, Tansley, it's in Chicotee, the area in Accawmacke where they had the agricultural fair between 1905 to 1907.
Yeah, yeah.
So
that's
we're
right.
trading with Cuba. So
right. And Canada, right?
In Canada. So like, we can do what we need to do. We're self-sufficient, but they'll do a thing where they want to destroy our infrastructure and have us want to need them. When we don't need them, we never needed them. They need us to need them. They have to artificially mess things up for us to need them. We had people in the 1840s in Boston talk about, do we really need color schools? Because a lot of them were in Dartmouth at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been self-sufficient. It's just a matter of really clerical work. Are we going to contact Parliament? Are we going to contact uh, these international people to get them out of here? Are we going to look into consulates and getting them out of here? Like, it's time to stand up, and we don't have to do what they do to get them to leave. They're going to leave. The land will go against them. Their plan is going against them. Majority of people that are also pale don't like them because they're destroying their own people to hit everybody below them. If you have all this money, you need to attack more people that have more money. You're not sustainable. You are a parasite to the planet. Think about it like this, right? Think about Star Trek. Think about Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk, he was questionable, but at the end of most episodes, he made sure everybody was safe. It get a little dodgy at a certain point, but he makes sure everybody's safe. Now imagine if Captain Kirk track record of him going and crashing out, and he didn't get it together. This is what's been going on. Our planet is technically our spaceship, and we're letting the most underqualified, non-sustainable, parasitic, destructive people run our spaceship into the ground. So it's time to say, hey, get your hands off the wheels for America. You've been crashing it this whole time. Your anger, your indentured attitudes, everything of you operating in scarcity, you operating in insecurity, you're operating in fragility is destroying the entire planet. So the planet should eject you. We shouldn't have to. But when it comes to America, you're gonna have to get up out of here. And it's not gonna be in the fantastical, violent go. No, it's gonna be, hey, this is the UN. Hey, this is Europe. Hey, this is whoever the freak, the U.S. Marshals, whoever it is, gonna escort you out, gonna escort you out, and you're gonna go. You and your descendants are gonna go. Point blank. Period. We've seen what you could do, and you do a lot of CIA stuff where you go and take people, and y'all tried to attack Fidel Castro 600 times and failed. And even the head organizer of the CIA, he said, we're magicians. You have to be a good magician and be able to operate seemingly undetected to get away with things, to the point that if you are caught doing something illegal, they're not going to consider what you're doing is illegal and let you go. Oh, he was kind of weird. What was that about? And you walk off. That's how they do, how they train their agents. So in hindsight, every branch has rotten. We can't stay with a bunch of people who are toxic, who are hateful, who are jealous, who want to do Blaxicans. You got Alabama Barker, Bad Baby. You got Africans cosplaying and being parasitic. They learn it from them. We got a bunch of parasites on our ship. All right. It's a bunch of, I want to say demogorgons, predator, whatever the case, the alien, whatever it is. You got to go ahead and go to the vacuum area of the ship, hit that button, and get them out. Close the little vacuum door. You got to close the vacuum door and get them out of here. Regardless of what they could say or could do, there are some that are good, because I don't dislike everyone, but the people that are in power, that are doing this destructive stuff, that are made it so that so many parts of our government is dumbed down and complacent. We don't need no more rotted, wasteful, not just complacent, non-serving people, because technically we need to be in those positions. Every nation needs to have a seat in that government, but it's not going to be the de facto corporate government, if we're being honest. So they're playing Indian in our face, but they're doing it in the most bizarre, twisted way, and it's going to come to an end.
Can we go back to Air Hall? Hello?
Yeah, you want to see it or something?
No, I want
Yeah.
to talk about it because
Yeah.
you're just touching on you're touching on it, but you're not really explaining the level of deceit that comes with Air Hall and what Air Hall is and how deceitful they are, because our our people grew up and were born on Air Hall, right? And the whole time they're working for Baldwin, you know, as indentured servants, and then we're visiting our relatives that are still on Air Hall. We're visiting Air Hall, whenever we want to connect with our ancestors and everything like that, and Baldwin saying, oh yeah, come by, anytime, if you want, to build something on this land, just let me know. He's saying all these things. They're hosting these garden events every spring, open house garden events. They're having these historical society events on the land, talking about how they have been here since the 1600s. They're having books written about this being their homeland since the 1600s. They're saying to us, oh, well, I don't know why she's fighting. I don't know why you guys are fighting. I don't know why Lisa's fighting. We could just discuss, giving you, a part of, some of the land. Bitch, excuse me. This isn't your land. This is not yours to give to anyone. Don't act like you're doing us a favor. Who are you? Who are you? You have a whole web of lies, stealing our land, and then what? Are they not suing? Isn't there a lawsuit or something?
Yeah, they're suing me for a second time. They sued me last year in May when I got arrested for the 51 indictments. Severin had his company for Bay Creek sue me civilly for $300,000 and the removal of the quitclaim. Now there's another suit, which I don't know what it's for, but I don't give a damn. So, they taped it on they taped the note, a summons on the door of the Accawmacke AI is not even active. It's not even a thing. I can't afford to keep things going like the LLC when they're attacking me this way. So basically, they left the summons on something that's defunct. It doesn't even exist. They left the thing in the mailbox, or the whatever, the complaint. I don't know what it is. My cousin sent me a couple of screenshots. I don't know what it is. I don't live there. They know I'm not there, because if I was there in Virginia, they would have arrested me for my daggone 51 indictments by now. So they know I'm not there, yet they're going to file a civil complaint for what? I have no idea. But I do not care, because you don't have authority to do anything. And when I give you attention and act like you have authority, that's stupid of me, because you are a freaking state. You're not even a decent company, okay? You don't have authority over a whole nation. You have authority over your daggone people that you have in subjection to you, and that's not the Accawmacke Indians. So you don't get to daggone boss us around, and that's what we need to have you learn. You need to learn quick. You need to stop being slow. So I don't know what the civil suit is about. I don't give a damn. I made a very sophisticated response to it, and that I do not consent, and there is a complete nullification of their jurisdiction in the as it applies to the Accawmacke Nation. It is nullified. They have no jurisdiction over us, and we give no attention to anything that they try to put in their state court, because it does not apply.
And let's also add to that 35,000 acres of land is just a tip of the iceberg.
Right.
So that isn't even, looking at the bigger, larger picture, that's only like a little pebble.
Right.
In comparison to what we are actually owed. So
millions.
Yes, there's millions of acres.
Millions of acres.
One squaw.
Yeah, it's like a historical number.
We're a confederacy. We have patents that go from Canada down to damn Alabama. It's millions of acres, and that's not even counting the fact that what we have in our families that people don't know about. Like if you happen to be a Bagwell or a Custis or the real heir, AYER heir, or AYRE heir, or you happen to be who else is there in Scotland? A Spady, or all these other people that have Fitchett, that don't know that they actually have all this farmland and land and cemeteries and everything that still exist to this day, but you just don't know that they're covering it up. They're covering it up, y'all. That's what they do. So it is what it is.
And a quick question, Chief. So I know you've talked about this a few times, but this is an aside. So considering that you are direct descendant of the family, like I don't understand, have they even came to you about even trying to have a center for the Accawmacke people or showing some kind of continuation of the family in the area? Have they done any of that?
Because their greed is being directed by a crazy person. And I won't say his name again because I'm sick of it. But the last name starts with Baldwin. And they are being directed by this. He's mad. He's mad in more ways. He's mad and he's angry, and he's mad and he's crazy.
And we're talking about, this is to clarify that we're talking about the son, Severin. We're not because the father passed away. So,
I mean, he didn't do any better either.
He didn't do any better, but it was, it was a different energy.
He would never have done what his son is doing now. I can say that.
Right.
He would never have done the dumb stuff that his son is doing now. And his son is getting people thrown in jail. Like, people are going to go to jail because of him. Like,
people already have been prosecuted and sentenced behind his acts as recent as last month.
Right. That part. I mean, people are constantly going to jail for his shenanigans, because his company is just that corrupt. It's just that criminal, right? That you got a whole attorneys going to jail for his forgery and fraud. And the stuff that I'm finding out, nobody wanted anybody to find out what they're actually doing, the stuff that I'm finding out. So they tried to punish me, but all they're doing is getting overly exposed in their criminality. Like, that's really what's happening as a result of it. The punishment of me, that's happening. I mean, on a level, you know what I mean? My life, whatever. I have to deal with these assholes, whatever, my nursing, whatever. But the real punishment is that they're getting all their criminality is being uncovered. Like, whether people want to actually take note of it or not, baby, eventually there's going to be a righteous judicial person in the bunch. And y'all are going to have your asses handed to you. Like, that's what's going to happen. When one righteous person that's like, oh, I'm about the Lord, I'm serious about it. Yeah, oh, you're going to go the hell down. So hard. So hard. I just can't wait.
Warren Squaw. Quick question. I was just going to put that out there for anyone that's listening. Share this story because I believe Chief Cypress deserves more traffic about this issue that's happening right now. So if anyone is listening, you have any kind of platform, share this on your platforms because we are trying to get this out to the public so they know what's happening on the Eastern Shore.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, these people are just like, yeah, that's what they do. They just are about just being completely and utterly corrupt. And they just want to make sure that none of you, anybody, none of us get to benefit from knowing who we are. That's why it's like stopper, stopper, stopper. Any which way you can, just stop her, because we can't have people knowing that, this is what they're owed. This is how they can move. These are their rights. That's not something they want shared at all. Like that. That's not. That's not. No, that's not part of the plan at all. So, that's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with people that are just completely greedy. I have to fight my way through, 12 court cases at once. It's ridiculous. But I'm going to talk more into the logistics of what is required of me in order to even do this. Like, in order to do this, what has to happen? What is really happening? What's behind it? This is when we were at Air Hall and they were putting that book out. My heritage here on Air Hall, the history and this whole event, this soil, this is Indian now. And most universities and all across the country and world are recognizing indigenous people and respecting the fact that the indigenous people, this is their soil, this is their land. My grandmother seated at the piano and standing next to Furlong, Virginia, Big Bagwell House, was an Indian. My grandfather was an Indian. All four of my grandparents were from the Eastern Shore, and they're all Indians. They're not from Africa. And to call us African is disrespectful and is genocide. She grew up here. She spent her whole life here. She played the piano. Her mother worked on the ferries and played instruments on the ferries that ran out of back and forth in the shore. She brought joy, and they had fun and had events in this property, in this house, all their lives. She made sure we know our heritage and where we came from. Air Hall is on Accawmacke. This is the land. This is the main village of the Accawmacke Indians. To not mention that is an atrocity. Like, how do you not mention that this soil, this property, is Accawmacke Indian property? How do you miss the fact that the slave quarters are on waterfront property? Who has slave quarters on waterfront property? The Indians were always here. People just invaded and came in and took over. The transfer of land is very sketchy. That's why the people remained on the waterfront. The people remain on the waterfront because this property has always been indigenous. That this land, more the Eastern Shore in general, has always been built with the original people. The original people are still here. When you have a legal case as I had, and you just keep finding out more things that are fraudulent, deeds that are fraudulent in this county, and you learn about the deception, this Woodrow Wilson history that we're passing back and forth has to end. We cannot have a bleached history in this world anymore. We have to start telling the exact truth. When you have a people where the person that I am suing for the PNC land for, that she is not only my great grandmother, she's also my cousin 3 times over via my father, my mother, my mother's mother, my mother's father. That kind of relationship, no one has that kind of relationship in their genealogy. You are really, truly the indigenous people when you do this. And in the future, when all these people, a lot of these people in this book are historical leaders, you're leaders within Williamsburg and with historical society. I urge you to start inserting truth and justice in what you teach and what you promote. This propaganda and lies must end. We have to start being honest about what is really going on, what happened that formed this nation, and what is going on throughout the world. We can't live in your fantasy of looking at the beautiful little things in the house. It always all ugly. There's lynching trees on this property. They're trying book. Oh, I will. But you got something to do with the truth. These are true. And the indigenous people are still here, and they're still oppressed, and the land is still being stolen, and the people are still on it. And this all will be stopped. Thank you.
So yeah, so that was one of the events that we attended about the Baldwin's history and lineage and all of the ceramics and things that they had stored in the house, and all the other lies that they wanted to enforce. That was the whole purpose of this, was just to enforce the lies, not realizing that the truth will come out, and the truth is out now. You guys weren't even here during that time. This is this not only Accawmacke land, that's Accawmacke house.
But that house is not even old. That's not
right.
Old house. I mean, really, if you look, like I said, when you do AI, you look at that house. That house is 1900, late 1880s. These people didn't get here. They weren't here. See, the only people that they know and the only people that they talk about are our grandmother, Upshur, like Fanny Upshur. They weren't here beyond Fanny. They weren't here beyond Fanny. They were not here. So they were here. They didn't come until way after slavery. They didn't have no slaves. They didn't lie when they told our cousins that they didn't have slaves. They were lying. That's one thing they didn't lie about, because they came here post-slavery, way post-slavery.
Right.
Like
that's one of the things they always reinforce. Oh no, we didn't have slaves. Oh no, they weren't slaves. No, we weren't.
Because they weren't here. They weren't. So the lies are crazy, guys. So anybody else? Torloff? Torloff, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. No, I'm just listening. Again, everything y'all are saying is correct. I mean, I can't really add to it. It's is what it is, and as you all said, it's time for the lies to stop. It's time for us, our people, even the ones claiming Black and Negro, African American. It's time that they see the light. I mean, they're losing out. Their mortgages are higher than anyone's. Not even that they should have a mortgage. The taxes, everything's higher for us, for
Right.
anyone in our groups, whatever they're called. It's everything is higher. Everyone's living off of us. I mean, that's why everyone else can thrive. But I mean, we're still survivors, because even though we're taxed the most, we're in prison the most, we're killed on TV the most, we still thriving. Like, we cannot be stopped. Period. Like, we just cannot be stopped. Um, so yeah, again, I mean, I can't, like I said, I can't really add too much to it. It's just everything is what it is, and it has to stop. I agree with Nay with the deportation. I mean, I find it funny that this foreigner, Donald Trump, is trying to decide who should be deported. It's like self-deport. Deport him and that recent Russian woman that he married, or a man thing, whatever it is. It's like deport themselves, you know? Like that's one of my biggest arguments. Like, especially like people who are foreigners making comments about some of these people. Some of these people called Hispanics or whatnot. They're Americans. Yes, they're from another part of the Americas, but they're more Americans and have more right to be here than Donald Trump has to be here. And he surely has no right to be deciding who should get eaten by alligators. And the little jokes and comments he's made lately. But
Well, I
yeah,
mean, that's him. That's him. Stirring up his backup. His people.
right,
Making,
right,
assuring them that that they're still in his corner. he has to, you know, say these very insightful things, you know. I don't know, you know, but you know, the reality is this. Oh, this is what I wanted to do. Let me, do I have a shit? I wanted to show you just how shady they do today, but I may have to save that for another show, just how far they go with their theft. Let me see if I can get a quick view, because they are some shady trees, these people. Let me see if I got one that I can get to quickly. Oh yeah, I know. Oh, is this one? Yeah, there it is. Is that one? Does it show enough? It shows enough. Okay, so let me see. Let me get it. Where's my? Okay. Okay, so I gotta go to present. Present. Share entire screen. Okay. All right. So. Not that one. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Okay, so what I wanted to share was this. So let me get it up front. Let me make it big. All right. So this is when you go and you look at the taxes online and you look at the Eastern Shore, you look at Smith Beach Road, which the majority of the properties that were claimed from us, to us, by us, to us. We are granting it to us based upon our title, based upon the patents that we hold, right? Nobody else was mentioned in the patents. No names were mentioned. No other people. It's just basically we're giving it to ourselves. So I don't know how that's a crime, but also how is it a crime if you have the highest form of title and it never expires and you're claiming it? That's why they know that this is our right. If they had this right, they would have U.S. Marshals moving us out at gunpoint and they would be taking their shit back. That's how they would roll. They would be demanding that the president put U.S. Marshals out to clear these people out of their homes. If this whole situation was reversed, right? They know that's what they would be doing. However, they're trying to make me out to be a criminal. So this is Smith Beach Road. One of the I think it's actually the actual I don't know which property this is, 0. But anyway, basically, as you see, they're all under THS Family Limited Partnership, right? And they sell it for 0. They transfer it for 0. They don't pay land tax. None of them pay land tax. They all act like they're part of the same family. They all belong to the Family Limited Partnership. I don't care if you live in Colorado, Mexico, New Hampshire, everybody, this is the owner of your property. I don't care if you pay $300,000 or $200,000 or $50,000. It's all going to be, the owner is going to be the THS. They are doing all kinds of tax and property fraud. But the main thing that I want y'all to understand is they're pretending that they're the engines. They're pretending that they're the engine heirs. That's the main thing that is being done. Is pretending to be you. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, we need to send the marshals to get them the fuck out. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, that's what they would do. If it was in reverse, they would be demanding that Congress, the president, whoever, just got these people up. See, and the crazy thing is nothing was quitclaim that people live in. Everything was quitclaim that are vacant commodity properties, fiduciary commodity properties, where they were making money either over tax breaks or summer rentals or just tax shelters. They were not living. There were no families or anyone living in these properties. So no, I mean, it was scattered around. We didn't just say, give us back our million acres. You know what I mean? And just claim, no, just parcels that were vacant, protecting those citizens of the corporation, right? The citizen of the corporation were given announcements. It was put in writing. There was legal notice placed in the paper for months. They had notice for months before, months and months were given where they could have responded. The only person that actually filed a suit was Air Baldwin's company, Bay Creek, and they did it twice. A year and a month later, filed another suit against me personally, when it's really not even me personally. Like, what is claimed in Bay Creek is Accawmacke to Accawmacke, but they claimed it under the LLC, which the LLC is, they can't own land. They're not us. The 503(c), it was actually LLC, not LLC, it's a 503. The 503(c) is not us. That's just an entity that, is a part of the Accawmacke's portfolio, which we don't have a portfolio. Or maybe we do. That's why they're trying to stop me, because we do have a portfolio of quite a few choice 29 properties, right? But they don't want us to know that those properties are ours legally. And they can't really stop us from keeping those properties or claiming those 29 properties for us, right? All they can do is scare me. They feel if they can scare me and scare all these other Negroes that hear about me, they can stop this from ever happening. But when you are a nation and you are standing in your true identity as that nation, and I am the trustee, it is my fiduciary responsibility to protect the land, to keep the land, to collect the land for the nation. This is my job. They cannot interfere with this. It is my duty. So the fact that they are making this into a criminal activity when it's not, that is the crime. So, yeah, so that's what it is. They are doing all kinds of things, all kinds of fraud, and they get away with it or don't. But either way, they are undeterred. Like, Bay Creek was embroiled in a massive fraud that was in the news, and people in their 70s white men in their 70s went to jail for 25 years behind 1.3 billion of tax fraud.
Yeah.
So
tax shelters.
So and Severin is running around free, getting more people in trouble, right? And these people don't realize he doesn't care. He is not smart. He doesn't care that you will go to jail, because eventually there will be a righteous apple in these courts, and they're going to be, oh my God. Yeah, and your asses are going to get cooked. Tracy, Jack Thornton, you're going to get cooked for this. Because there's going to be somebody who's going to be livid because they've got a conscience, because they have ethics, something that y'all may not have. But there's somebody out there that does, this is going to come across their desk, because as you know, Jack, I spread this stuff all over the place. I file everywhere, don't I, Judge Heydrich? I file everywhere. So it's going to come across someone's desk who is righteous and a true honorable judge. And when that honorable judge uncovers and looks at this in earnest, they're going to be appalled. And that's when your life is going to change for the worst.
Well, Severin's just a puppet, So who's pulling his strings?
Oh, he's not a puppet. No, he's not.
Well, he's not
him. It's him. That's why the stuff that's happening is so crazy, because it's
That's
like
what they're doing a lot.
That's what makes it so stupid.
Right,
Yeah,
because
they're
he's
doing
just
like
a baby Huey that has all this power, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take bad."
he's making people. He's making people break law on record.
Yes.
Like obscene, foolish behavior as a public official. Like that's how you know it's him, because it's like, as a person who wants to keep their job, why would you do this on public record? Like who's putting that battery in your back? It's him.
He's him.
He's making him do stupid stuff, because if he wasn't, there wouldn't be a judge doing 16 months in prison over tax evasion over the same company. Last month, they got sentenced for 16 months in prison.
Thank you for that. Thank you, buddy. Love you. Mean it. Yeah, that. He's got a daggone Asian attorney to go into jail in May of this year for the crap that he did with tax fraud a couple of years ago. People are still falling out from that. And meanwhile, he's doubling down against me. I got all these fraud deeds on my property. Screaming to the hilltops. Don't nobody believe me, because why? They got in the media, I got 51 indictments. I'm not to be trusted, right? I got a warrant for my arrest. I'm not to be trusted. A nurse for 30 years, paid for my home for 30 years. You gonna take my home after I paid you for this fraudulent company? These fraudulent companies, I paid fraud companies for 15 years and didn't know it. 15 out of my 30 years was to companies that had no title to give, had no authority to take my money. How many other people are going through that today and don't know it?
Too many.
But they don't want that to be known, see? So I'm just a crazy lady, just talking, oh, you just a sovereign citizen. What? No, I'm not. I'm a real Indian doing what real Indians are supposed to be doing. Because when I walk, I gotta walk so that y'all have a better place to stand. I can't walk and be like, oh, I gotta save my ass. Peace, y'all. Because they gave me a plea deal. They gave me a plea deal 2 weeks ago and said, oh, you can, through by email, oh, we'll drop all 50 of the 51, and you just got to do a year probation, and then don't ever claim nothing again. What? You gonna bar me from claiming land? No. You can't even give me a one indictment because I never committed a crime. And I'm not going to ever stop fighting for what is ours. So, no, you don't have authority to make me a criminal, and I don't acknowledge you. I don't. I should have never. I thought maybe there was some honor in court. I really did. I thought that there was some honor in court. I thought that if all this whole year I've been fighting and filing my things and showing up, that there would be some honor. They took it as a joke. They thought that I would be scared immediately when they just took me and put me in daggone handcuffs, that I would be like, oh, no, please. They thought that it would be over. But it never is going to be over, because I ain't never standing down. We must win. We are winning. And we will get back ours. Trust and believe. So, anyway, we're good. I am, I'm standing up. And like I said, you just got to face these daggone dragons in the face. And stand up and be strong. I'm not going to stand down on this. Honey, I have 12 cases. Federal court? Yeah, honey, I got 12 cases. Like, this is, I'm not looking for advice. Not really, not like that. I'm looking for people to, spread the information. But I have a lot of cases that are keeping me above the phrase of these demons. A lot. I have filed so many cases. I have actually two federal cases in Georgia, 2 federal cases in DC, a Virginia Supreme Court case and a Georgia Supreme Court case. Then I got 5 cases in the CAB Superior Court, and I got the criminal 51 indictments in Virginia. I have a lot of cases. I think I might be missing one, and I have more to come, more cases to come. So yeah, I filed a lot. But like the thing, you always learn from people. So I'm always keep my heart and my mind open to any suggestions. But yeah, I have a lot going on as far as filing. And the thing is that it's really corruption. I'm filing to just fight fire with fire, but their fire is that they are criminally acting. So it's really hard to be righteous, and then these people are just doing criminal stuff because I've committed no crime. And the fact that I have to spend all my resources and all my time combating something that I should never have to combat, right? Whereas you, in the picture, you're a criminal. You're living on stolen land. You're making money off of stolen land. Your whole identity is stolen. Everything you are is a fraud. The companies that you actually promote and own and are partners to are frauds. They forge deeds all over the country. Yet, I'm forced to defend myself from what? From the fact that you have a network. You have you are a real estate racketeer, and you have a network of thieves. Thieves dressed as judges, thieves dressed as attorneys throughout this country. So that's crazy. But that's what it is. But this is their time to fall. And that's why they're so frustrating, because and all that they have done and all this time, they didn't expect to have to work this hard. They didn't expect to be exposed this much. They didn't expect to have all this stuff going on around this one woman. So that's the thing that they didn't know. And the thing that they still don't know is that you're not going to win. I know you don't want to believe that, but you're not winning. You're losing. You're losing, and you're losing horribly, and it's very much an embarrassment. And your father thinks you're shit. He thinks you're shit because he would never conduct himself like this. Never. And your daughter, Grace, should be embarrassed. She should be hiding under a rock. And your ex-wife, she should actually know that you're a friggin' loser. Like, how much of a loser that you are, she didn't probably even know when she divorced you, but you're a huge loser. Okay? And that's what's going on. But yeah, once one of us wins, a precedent will be set. That's right. And that's what they're trying to prevent. But guess what? We are in the age. The ancestors have spoken. This is not directed by me. This is not directed by, Imani or Penny or Toloff or Nay. This is directed by the ancestors. They have said it's time. Rise up, get this done. And if you're able, you need to be getting it done. Point blank, period. There's no excuses. It's time. And I'm just somebody who's willing to heed the call. That's all. I'm just the one. Anybody else got anything to say? I'm about done to close it. Ready to close it, I guess.
Yeah. I'll say all the people out here that are doing research or have political pull who just don't want to debate all day and actually get a message out, because this also affects you. This also affects your children and your future, you know, depending on how this goes. And I feel like I'm about to see a whole bunch of ridiculous, foolish public officials either get deported or go straight to prison. That's what I'm seeing. I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, either deportation or prison is where these people are going because of one hateful fool or several. Tracy, you raggedy bitch. You need to not have dropped in Johnson. I don't care that you were married to a Johnson. You shouldn't be associated with a Johnson because you're a Otten land theft. You're a Otten land stealer or whatever. I don't know if you're even a real Otten. Either way,
Right.
you're a disgrace. And everybody involved with this, all 36 of y'all, your descendants, no longer can live on our land in this country at all. When it's said and done, Tracy, you're going back to hell or Europe. When it's said and done, Mr. Baldwin, you're going back to hell or Europe. When it's said and done, Jack Thornton, you're going back to hell or Europe. Pick one. But you're not staying here. You used all that resources to just be wasteful, to go after people, to harm nations of people and disrespect the indigenous people. So you don't belong here. You don't have grace on this land anymore. So bye forever. Start packing.
Virginia Johnsons, they're Accawmacks. So yeah. How about you, Amani? Where's Amani at?
I think somebody dropped. I don't know who.
Who's Amani? It's Amani. I don't see her. But I don't see her to put where I could pull her up. And Nays and Penny. Oh, Penny, you got anything to say? Told off for Penny? Yeah, I lost Amani. Well, I tell you, it's a lot. But, like I said, we're going to be doing lives a lot, and I'm going to go into more in detail. And when you guys hear the details of what's going on and how my year has gone and all the stuff I'm doing on a day-to-day basis and how they're coming for me, y'all, you're not going to believe it. You are really not going to believe it. I'm going to show you the deeds. I'm going to show you the forgery. Okay. Yeah, 208 is the year that a lot of damage was done. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Well, definitely, let's talk. But yeah, the deed fraud that is there. I didn't even know these people had put this false information into record on me. Like, I did not know that they actually, honey, these people made up a deed that said that I gave them power of attorney. This is all directed from the Eastern Shore, from Virginia. It's all directed from my 51 indictments. Because of the 51 indictments in Bay Creek is owned by the person that was on the picture that we were just talking about, like Mr. Air Baldwin. Mr. Air Baldwin is part of a syndicate, a real estate racketeering syndicate. What I didn't know was when we quit claim the properties on the Eastern Shore, this daggone motherfucker, he had an interest and a connection to the people who was servicing my illegal payments on my house. Now, understand me, that I, for the past 10 years or so, thought this is a corrupt company. this thing is a fraudy company because my payments doubled. I never refinanced. My mortgage balance never is going down. Like, I'm like, what kind of fraud companies? What's going on with my mortgage? Now, I built my house in 93, y'all. Like, my house has been paid for a couple times over. I was doubling up on payments for like decades, right? So I'm trying to figure out why my balance don't go down. Why my daggone mortgage payments have doubled. I didn't get no balloon payment plan. What is this, right? So I knew it was fraud. I was telling my daughter, I said, this company, these are some frauds. Like, I don't even know, but I didn't know enough about law to deal with it, right? I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. So, but then when I started suing about the land in Virginia, I learned from Amani how to actually file a complaint. And so I learned a little bit about how to proceed in the law, but I didn't know really about real estate, like that. So, but someone said that you could patent your land and that would protect it. I didn't believe that, but I did it anyway, because it was a mechanism for me to even like start to delve into the fact of what is this fraudy company? Can I get out? I didn't want the interest rates dropped a few years back during COVID, I think it was. And I didn't even want to refinance then because I was scared I would get locked into paying this balance that wasn't mine and these payments that weren't mine. So the best thing, so I didn't do anything. I just froze with this fraudy company. And then when I got the opportunity, I said, look, I'm patenting my land. I stopped payment. So I stopped payment in 2023, right? And I had the patent and I told them, look, I patented my land. And they were like, oh, so tell us, what kind of Indian are you? Prove it. Show me your. And I was like, they're frauds. If I really owe you money, you're not going to be like, what kind of Indian? So I was like, they're really frauds. What the what? And then I said, well, what do you have to show me that you have the right to be collecting my payments? They showed me my old deed from 2008, GE Capital. GE Capital is defunct. They no longer exist. I'm like, well, that's the best thing they have on me is a GE Capital mortgage. See, GE Capital didn't transfer anything to anybody. So since 2008, everybody after that has been a fraud. I have 2 quitclaims on my property before GE Capital. So the honest truth is I own my house. I'm the only one that has title to it. GE Capital went defunct and they came after me. So I have I have the supreme title, and I've been paying for this thing, like I said, for over 30 years, right? So for 15 or more of those years, like I said, I've been paying these frauds, these schemers, these people that had no authority to take my money. And even if they did, they wouldn't have nothing to show to give to me that, yeah, you finished paying, here you go. Like, they wouldn't have nothing because they are frauds. They had no title to begin with. They scammed it. So Specialized Loan Servicing made a fraud deed in my records in DeKalb County. They said that they represented Wells Fargo Bank and that the person was the president of my bank, of SLS, and she was a lawyer for Wells Fargo Bank. She was both a lawyer for Wells Fargo and the vice president of the loan servicing company. Not possible, okay? One person signs the deed declaring to be 2 entities, work for 2 different entities at the same damn time. They also falsified that my loan was owned by Freddie Mac, Federal Home Loan. Freddie Mac never had any assignment to my loan. They verified that with me on the phone. So with that being the case, this deed was a complete fraud. It was placed in the records of the county in 2018. They didn't have any authority to be taking my money. They didn't have any authority to be daggone taking my payments. But this company is affiliated with the racketeering syndicate that Mr. Baldwin is a part of. So he was able to say, take her house. Mind you, the month before we actually filed the quit claims in Virginia, they had sent me a letter saying they were not going to foreclose on my house at this time. That next month, November, we filed the quit claims. On January, that company made up another forged deed. They made up this deed. The first deed was made up in Idaho for my house in Decatur, Georgia. The second mortgage was made up in Pennsylvania for my house in Decatur, Georgia. Again, one person signed it, another so-called VP of SLS loan servicer, and also she falsified that Freddie Mac was a part of it to make it look legit. They put Freddie Mac on the deed. They used that deed to then bring my house into foreclosure. So simultaneously, in May of last year, I had my house foreclosed, so-called okay, this is the thing, y'all. They didn't even foreclose on my house. It was forged. My house never sold in foreclosure. They lied. The same lawyers that sent the foreclosure letter a month and a half after the real foreclosure sale occurred, they in Colorado made a forged deed on my house with me being said to be under having them for power of attorney, with me being said to have them as attorneys. They put that all on the deed and used that as a deed under power to say, this possess her house is ours. They never exchanged money. All they did was forge a deed in Colorado to steal. That's what they did. They just forged a deed under power. And then what they did, and then these judges, they facilitated, because first of all, the law, you have these drive-through non-judiciary foreclosures, and it wasn't even a foreclosure. They didn't buy it they didn't buy it on any auction. They waited a month and a half, almost 2 months later, and made up a document. Nothing was purchased. So they take your houses, they take money from me for over I don't know how many years. They take money from me illegally, and then they turn around and take my house after only taking money from me illegally. They don't exchange money for my house. They give it to their partner, which is owned by the partner who's in jail, who is the partner of Baldwin in Virginia for Bay Creek. So the guy who went in jail, the company who now claims that they own my house, Catamount Properties 2018, is owned by the partner of Air Hall of Bay Creek in Virginia. Bay Creek of Virginia's headquarters is in Georgia. It is a RICO. That's a real RICO. These people are doing interstate harassment, interstate fraud, forgery, wire fraud, mail fraud. They are the biggest criminals that you can imagine. These judges are corrupt. When I put fraud upon the court and I actually called Freddie Mac and talked to them, they had a lawyer pretending to be SLS, that loan servicer, and Freddie Mac at the same time. He pretended to represent both of them in the daggone proceedings. Oh, it's so big. I'm gonna go into detail on another show. We've been at 2 hours, but yeah, it's crazy. I'm gonna break it down for y'all. Y'all gonna be tripping. It's crazy. I'm gonna show you the deeds. I'm gonna show you how they said that they're my attorneys. In fact, that they have power attorney. But why did they do that? Because they come back around and they offer you money, and then it makes the lie disappear. Woo! The fraud disappears when you take their money, because then they actually did purchase your house. Yeah, these are big criminals. Yeah. And yeah, the fraud with Freddie Mac. Nah, see, you know what the fraud with Freddie Mac? I'll just say it for the sister in the comments. The fraud with Freddie Mac I wrote the fraud upon the court. Freddie Mac was being impersonated by this attorney, right? He was pretending that he was the attorney for SLS and Freddie Mac at the same time. Freddie Mac has nothing to do with my house. They were not represented in any case. That was confirmed by Freddie Mac. When I put that in the court, in the DeKalb Superior Court to Judge Heydrich, she dismissed everything. My quiet title, my declaratory judgment, my review, she dismissed it all. She froze me from being able to file into my own cases that I had paid for. You pay $250 a pop for a case. She wrote an order to the clerks to reject anything I file. Yeah, they're crooked. She actually went rogue crazy. She wrote that the clerks are barred from allowing me to file in the cases that I paid to file. She did that last week. Judge Stacy Heydrich. And they doing it. I was like, you violating the Constitution of Georgia and the United States. What are you doing? No, because she's the judge. They're going to do what the judge has an order. The judge has an order. She also wrote for immediate dispossession of my house. See, they don't want to adjudicate the quiet title. The quiet title has you look at everything and decide who got the title to this house. They don't want that. They just want to dismiss it and give it to Catamount. That is Jack Fisher's company. That is Severin Baldwin's friend and partner of Bay Creek in Virginia. They want to just take my house. They know this so much that when I was in a hearing in March in Virginia, and they actually tried to dispossess my house in March as well, they said, "Where do you live, Lisa? What's your address?" I'm like, "Where my address has always been." "Well, where are you now? Where you stay? Where's your address now?" See, they knew that he was trying to take my house, that he had said, "I'm going to take her house." And they expected me to be removed from my home. The judge and the clerk, Tracy, in the hearing, expected me to be removed from my house. But I always have another active case. So they weren't able to remove me from my house. I was like, the marshals came in and partially dispossessed my house, a house that was stolen by just a forged deed. They were trying to get me out of it because, once they get you out of it, she wants to help her friends. These people are in a real RICO with judges, attorneys, businesses, all in the bed, clerks, all in the bed together from state to state. And nobody wants me to know about it. And nobody wants me saying anything about it. Yeah, it's real big. It's real big. But that comes of when you have a loose cannon like heir running things that he shouldn't be running and doing things that he shouldn't be doing and being very, very narcissistic and wanting to just wreak havoc against me without thinking. Because you're a total criminal. What you don't need to be doing is calling attention to your criminality. That's what you don't need to be doing. Because now I have a Supreme Court case against that judge in the Supreme Court of Georgia case against her with a judicial review for her butt. Oh, no, sorry, a writ of mandamus for her. I also have a judicial review in the Superior Court of DeKalb on her butt. But the writ of mandamus is going to force, or it should encourage, if not force, that judge, that new judge that's supposed to be reviewing this dirty judge Heydrich, it should force her to actually do a review, okay? Because that's what she should be doing. But I didn't trust her to do it. So definitely I needed to file that writ of mandamus in Supreme Court. I need all the pressure and all the opportunity for somebody to be ethical. That's why I have 12 cases going, because the ethics ain't there. And the more I file increases my protection and increases the opportunity for someone that is actually honorable to show up. So yeah, it's a title lynching. That's what our topic today has been. That's what has been historically happening to our people. That's what's happening now, unbeknownst to us, because sadly, most times when people are in a situation of foreclosure, they're not in a position where they actively said, well, I ain't gonna pay because I think they're frauds. They're not in that kind of mindset. So they're not looking at things analytically. They're just responding in trauma. They're responding in just desperation and feeling like they have no alternatives, when in reality these people are being defrauded and they just don't know it, because these companies are already in the books forging things and they're under their title. So it's crazy. Well, I mean, what will end up happening if everything is everything is it is a wrongful prosecution, and it is a wrongful foreclosure, right? Because I also have a wrongful foreclosure case. So if there is any justice in the earth and in the heavens, child, then that's what's going to end up happening for these Accawmackes, is that this will all end up being a wrongful foreclosure and a wrongful persecution, and it will be a massive civil RICO, and we will and there will be compensation for that, because I've already have an active RICO on these perpetrators. So, and I have a habeas. So, yeah. So that's what we need to be manifesting. that they get, that justice is served and they end up getting what they deserve, and doing all the stuff that they're doing, that thing. Anybody else? All right, y'all. Next time I'm gonna get into nitty gritty. Y'all gonna see all the dirty stuff. Like, you're gonna be like, what? I'm gonna show you the actual daggone documents that they falsified, how they did it, what they did, how they responded, the crazy things they said. I might even show you some court transcripts when they talked about me crazy on the Eastern Shore. They was rude, they was disrespectful, it was bad. Even in Georgia, in the U.S. District Court here, mad disrespectful things were said about me by a judge that I'm just like, are you that racist? Are you allowed to even put that? Why would you put that into record? It's on pace. It's in Pacer for always, unless they, shield it or something, or, But anyway, for now, it's very visible that they've said extremely racist things on record. And I filed a misconduct, and, that didn't work. So just keep going. You got to keep fighting. I keep fighting. That's what we do. And we keep winning. That's what we're doing. Have a good night. Anna.